It was a new dawn for leading policy think tank Nigeria Economic Summit Group as it unveiled its new corporate logo and identity at its summit house in Lagos. Established since 1993, the NESG, from the military to democratic dispensation in Nigeria, has been at the forefront of partnering with the government and leading the public-private sector dialogue on the economic advancement of the nation. Chairman of the NESG, Mr. Asue Godalo, and the chairman of the publicity committee of the group, Mr. Udeme Ufot, gave their remarks on the rebranding efforts and the forthcoming 25th summit in Abuja.
The Nigerian Economic Summit Group has come a long way and has stayed true to its mandate to promote and champion the reform of the Nigerian economy into an open, globally competitive economy. We have become the foremost think tank in the country, and over the years, the NESG has been identified with a specific logo and corporate identity. So in the last 25, 26 years, we've carried this evolved logo and corporate identity. We on the board of the NESG now believe that as we evolve into a critical and strategic transformational phase as the NESG, and as the country evolves in a critical socio-economic and developmental phase, we, the NESG, require a more reflective and a more representative identity.
While our key focus remains Nigeria, we've built alliances across Africa and beyond in order to enhance our capacity for realizing our objectives. In consonance with these changes in the NESG, our team of seasoned and creative professionals have worked tirelessly over the past few months to develop a new identity, which stays true to our foundational principles, yet adopts a contemporary look and feel to highlight our ever-relevant mandates and renewed vigor. The new brand positioning strategy and related campaigns were developed after extensive research and concept testing by different stakeholders. Therefore, this corporate identity change expresses the dynamism that has been our personality in the last few years and expresses the flexible approach with which we like to proceed in the future. The logo is made up of three elements: a bold, contemporary, and aesthetically arranged typeface, an arrow which indicates the direction and speed that the Nigerian economy needs to achieve sustainable and inclusive growth. Described as global, the concept illustrates an outward-looking nation with the power of a collective purpose and vision to drive Nigerian dominance in the local economy and potential in the global economy. These elements come together to form the renewed identity of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. The color green, being our national color, remains, suggesting that all we do is in the national interest. It represents loyalty, faith, and commitment to sustainable and inclusive growth. The adoption of blue is in line with our earlier stated mandates. It symbolizes trust, loyalty, confidence, intelligence. Most importantly, the blue icon signifies that it is time for Nigeria to take its place and better the lives of its people to world standards.
The chairman of the organizing committee for the NESG 25th anniversary, Mr. Niyi Yusuf, gave further insights on the 2019 summit, which is scheduled for October 7th to 8th, 2019.
The first economic summit held in 1993 and 24 summits after, I'm pleased to announce that On the 7th and 8th of October 2019, we will be having the 25th edition of the Nigerian Economic Summit, which we hold at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, in Nigeria. We all know how much potential our dear nation possesses. However, potential, we all know again, is simply not enough. There's a need for us to plan and be deliberate, and also to delicately implement all of our plans.
Highlights of the event was the unveiling of the new corporate identity and logo of the NESG.
That's our brand new logo. It's really refreshing. It's reflective of where we want to go, and it's reflective of what we stand for. And it's reflective of our focus to ensure that Nigeria is worked towards the first world. Thank you very much.
The management of the NESG engaged the press further on its achievements and interventions since inception.
We're expecting speakers from the executives, we're expecting from the National Assembly, we're expecting from corporate Nigeria, who are our business our members. We're also expecting there will be a session dedicated to the youth, who will be the leaders by 2050. So there's a session focused on youth, and we're expecting to find a number of speakers in youth, both in public, private, and the social enterprise, not-for-profit. And lastly, we have commitment from a number of our international partners, foreign partners who are working in Nigeria and across other countries on the continent, who will be coming to speak to and share experiences. And lastly, because the theme is about shifting gears, so we are also getting speakers from the countries that are leading today. So you talk about America, US, or China. These are the two leading economies. So we're getting speakers from both US and China to come share their experience with us of how they've either remained a leading economy or how China has moved to become a leading economy today.
There were 6 principles that the NESG and the government did agree to in terms of what would drive this intervention. And one of them, critical to them, is the fact that we want an environment that is really, really deregulated, where the private sector is allowed to play its due place, where, of course, there's good governance and the like. So that has been at the center of it. And so to date, I always tell people, when you take policies, the reason is that our founding father said, don't beat your chest, right? Because don't forget, the role of policy is to come alongside the implementer. And that's why sometimes we take policies that are not implemented. But I'll look at all the talk about deregulation and privatization we're seeing today were part of the things that we at the NESG started and which we pushed. So whether you want to take it from the telecoms industry, you can adduce it to NESG. The banking sector were part of the reforms we pushed. Even in power, that we have not achieved what we plan to achieve doesn't mean that the need to deregulate that sector is not important. But one thing that always makes me smile the more is the role we played in the pension reforms. You recall Nigeria used to run what they called the defined benefit scheme. And many people were retiring and going home without getting anything. And so we pushed it that we should do what is now called defined contribution scheme. And if you look at the totality of that assets, about 9 trillion now. And so imagine the resources that the nation will have if well deployed. So these are the things that we have been doing.
In fact, in the earlier days, being engaged even more narrowly with just the federal government, we've evolved beyond the federal government to the legislature, to the states, and we've even crossed borders to partner with like-minded organizations within Africa and beyond in order to increase our capacity for doing what we must do as the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. In evolving, we become more flexible, more dynamic, and in fact more aggressive in our own subtle manner, if I can, we call it subtle aggressiveness. And so the new logo we've put together symbolizes these changes that the NESG has gone through. We are bolder, and you can see that from our typeface. is a bolder, more dynamic, and more confident type that we've used.
Mr. Laoye Jayola, the CEO of NESG, speaks further on the journey so far for the think tank group and the prospects ahead.
So 25 years of NESG, how's the journey been and what are we expecting in the 25th summit?
It's been tough. 25 years has been very, very tough. I mean, but you look at where we've come from, we've come a long way. But because of the set of NESG, resilience, perseverance, and the fact that we know that we pay to serve, and we don't care who takes the glory, we're able to have, and the structure that we have, and we have passionate volunteers. We've seen people held on and then supported government. And sometimes we get tired. But one of the things that helped us is how do we build the power, the young people that can take over from us, so that at least they're well embedded and they all can see the need to give back to our society. How do I look at 25 years to come? I'm optimistic. If we're going to have large population, the challenge will be how do we get our population in school? How do we get them to have skills? Because there's enough to do in Nigeria and to do in Africa. So our job will always to tell government that government take the right policies and leave the space for private sector to expand the pie.
In 2 decades and 5 years, the NESG has evolved as a catalyst for the inclusive economic growth in Nigeria, and with the unveiling of the new brand logo, it is clear that it is focused on supporting Nigeria's quest to attain global competitiveness.